So imagine this. You're walking down the street and everybody around you is, well, dead inside. Eyes glazed over, shuffling around like zombies, totally oblivious to the world around them. This isn't a virus. It's in their hands. It's their phones. Yep, welcome to the stupidity apocalypse, and it's coming. And if you're not prepared for it, well, you might be next. So stick around because about to show you how to survive when the rest of the world is completely oblivious and loses their mind. So you think I'm exaggerating? Well, hey, let's break this down. So back in the day, IQ scores were climbing about 3 points per generation. This is called the Flynn effect. People get smarter generation after generation thanks to, well, better food, better schools, and of course tech helps. But guess what? That's reversed. Studies from Norway and the US and beyond show IQ points have been dropping 5 to 7 points per generation since the 90s. That's a big turnaround. Verbal skills are just about gone because nobody talks to each other anymore. Problem solving is almost non-existent. And it's just getting worse. So why is this happening? Well, our attention span is pretty much crumbling. In 2000, the average attention span was about 2.5 minutes. That's not too bad. Now, we're barely at 45 seconds. I think that's shorter than a goldfish's memory. Well, we blame endless doom scrolling and, of course, social media algorithms are designed to hook you like a drug. And now with AI doing most of our thinking, we're outsourcing our brains. Reading books is down 20% in the last decade. Why? Because everybody just doom scrolls instead. There is pretty much no critical thinking left. It's all been replaced by memes and echo chambers. I mean, look at the average video over on the TikTok, right? People doing stupid things just to get clicks and views. This is what we've come to. So this is when it gets really scary for preppers like us. Because in a real crisis, power outage, economic crash or worse, because none of that seems to be headed our way. What happens when society is full of phone zombies that can't think straight? No one knows how to read a map without GPS. They can't do basic math skills. They've forgotten all about that. They can't fix a generator. It's like Idiocracy came to life. Watering crops with energy drinks and who knows what else. The whole world's going to lose their mind. I'll just give you an example from my little area. So I walk around, I talk to people when I'm at the store, when I'm at work, whatever. And, you kind of probe to maybe try to find some like-minded people, right? So you might see somebody in the sporting goods aisle and say, hey, what do you think about the whole Venezuela situation or something like that? And they just look at you all glassed over and they're like, why? What's going on in Venezuela? Or maybe ask them about, what do you think about what's going on in Minnesota? And they look at you and say, what, did they get a snowstorm or something? The people in my area, if they can't look out their front window and see it, it's not happening. Okay, so let's talk about preps and what we can do to kind of fend this off. Because it's not just dumb people being dumb. This is a systematic collapse. Education is shifting to screens, basically. A lot of our jobs are becoming automated, and, we're only about one algorithm away from becoming completely detached. So what can we do about it? Well, step one of getting out of this zombie apocalypse is you need to reclaim your mind. Ditch the cell phones for a while. Put yourself on some screen limits. There's apps out there like Freedom or just an old school timer to keep you on a daily limit. Also, have some books. People don't read enough these days. Some survival manuals, maybe some history books, whatever. And teach your kids to read books on a regular basis. Also teach them some math skills, with no calculator. Some old school stuff that's going to help them if we ever have a total grid down situation. Prep number 2, well, build an offline library. Have books on hand for things like trades, plumbing, gardening, first aid, no internet, no AI crutch. Join a community of like-minded people, preppers preferably, trade knowledge. or just trade goods. Because in the stupidity apocalypse, the real currency is going to be your brain. Imagine bartering repair skills for food, because there's going to be a lot of people that don't have those repair skills. There's going to be people fumbling around looking for apps when they're not going to work. So skills and knowledge are going to be your biggest asset during an SHTF situation. Prep number 3, fortify against the horde. When it all goes down, and there's going to be a lot of people out there that don't know how to do anything without their phone or an AI telling them how to do it. And those people are going to become very dangerous when they can't get food and they can't get water and they can't do anything for themselves. Now, if they can find out that you have the ability to do all these things, you're going to become a target. So make sure your house is fortified, or your bug out location, whatever it may be, and that you're ready for these people. Also, have some quiet backup power, solar preferably, because you don't want to be making noise. You can hear generators from a long ways away. So stock tools and gadgets and self-defense devices, and practice your mind. Keep your mind sharp. Do some meditation or some puzzles, or go for a long hike without any tech. The data shows that 10 minutes a day of using your brain without tech actually boosts your cognitive ability by 15%. Spend a little time when you're out at the grocery store or whatever, and just look at the zombies. The people that stare into their phone, walk into walls, crash into other things because they're not paying attention. So is this apocalypse inevitable? Well, not if we act, or at least not for everybody. This is more of a warning than a death sentence. If you're watching this, well, you're already ahead of the curve. You're thinking about things other than what the next goofy thing on TikTok is or whatever. It's more of a wake-up call. So listen, guys, thanks for stopping by. Hit all the buttons. It helps out. I appreciate y'all. Share this out. And so what's your first step to stay out of this mind-numbing thing we got going on nowadays? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, hey, great to see you guys. Stay sharp. Remember, don't wait for SHTF, because it's not going to wait for you. We'll see y'all on the next one. Have a good day, everybody.